Well, welcome to the ZAGTalkPodcast live. My name is Guy Danoff, and I'll be your host over the next hour. And gotta love that introduction by Rex Carroll, just shredding away as we are so familiar with him doing. We'll bring him on in just a second. And we've got a very, very special show for you. We're going to have Rex Carroll on live in just a few minutes. We're also going to be joined by David Roberts, lead vocalist of Whitecross, and as well as with Denver-based solo rocker artist Asha Blaine. So we got a big show for you. And some of you might be asking, well, what is actually the Zag Talk Podcast Live? And basically, what we do is right here, we live stream engaging content through interesting topics. I'm doing a lot with Christian music, a lot with Christian rock, certainly interest stories, and really finding these amazing stories of people that actually find the Lord. And it's just really cool, the things that we're going to be sharing tonight, even certainly along with the legacy of Whitecross and Rex Carroll, and also hearing from a new artist and kind of newer on the scene, and to get a chance to hear her story as well. Again, this is going to be the all access show, and you're going to be able to ask questions throughout the whole time that we're together, because it's going to be a good time. In case you're wondering who I am a digital media strategist. I consult with companies, artists such as these. I'm also a college professor in a school of business. I'm working on my third book related to digital media and social media strategy. And yes, finally, I am a blues rocker. And I'm very proud to say that Rex Carroll was my teacher for a few years back in the college days. And, it's kind of fun actually being back here with Rex. So without further ado, let's bring on the man himself. Let's bring on Mr. Rex Carroll. Rex, how are you doing, my friend?
Howdy. How's it going? Who was that guy?
I don't know, but man, I like how you change guitars that fast. You got
right?
the other one.
Anyways.
So look, you already got a fan chiming in there. How about that? I don't even know what that says. Do you know what that says?
It says good evening. I think it says good evening from Brazil.
Very cool. See, there you go.
Hello, Marcelo.
Yeah, how about that? All the way from Brazil. That's pretty darn cool.
That's right.
So Rex, let's get the show started in the right way. There's still a few people that may not, believe it or not, know who you are. So let's give just a brief background. Obviously, I remembered you way back in the day, even before Whitecross. You graduated from Northern Illinois University with a degree in guitar performance.
That's right. Yeah.
And then obviously you went on to be in bands such as Fierce Heart, which is an incredible band. And I know you do things with them even to this day. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, when I met you was in the mid 80s when I had you as a guitar student, when you were my guitar teacher. And that's when you were doing Whitecross, the very first record. Right. And the band formed in 85. And then that release was in 1987. And since then, how many records have you done with Whitecross since?
I'm not really sure. It depends on, let's put it to you this way. When I played at the Melodic Rock Festival with Fierce Heart, and then fans came in from all over the world. There was fans from Colombia, fans from Japan, and that was really interesting because these Japanese guys, they were all excited to be there at the festival, and they showed me albums from Fierce Heart and from Whitecross.
Yeah.
On Japanese only releases, and they looked like super high quality releases, and I was like, I've never heard of this. I had no knowledge of any of this. So, I don't know whether it was bootlegging or whether the old record label Star Song. I don't know if they were, like just making deals left and right, which I assume to be the case. So I really don't know. But we had 5 studio albums with Whitecross on our first contract, and then they did a couple of greatest hits, and then and at that time, then the grunge music scene came in, and groups like Nirvana and Pearl Jam,
right,
kind of like the old the 80s rockers like myself everybody just got pushed off stage left. And all of a sudden, the groups that was in my era, which was like, Rat, Whitesnake, Poison,
Mm-hmm.
Van Halen, Dokken, all you kind of the LA rock sound from the 80s. That's when I was coming of age. That was what was in vogue.
Right.
And all of that particular scene got shoved aside like pretty quick. Took about 2 years and it was gone.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, all you heard was, like I said, Pearl Jam. I don't know all the groups, Nirvana. Later on, eventually, I was doing a radio show in Guatemala, and the DJ goes, "Well, what do you have to say about groups like Nirvana?" And I said, "Well, Kurt Cobain is no longer with us, but I'm still here."
Right. Right.
So I think at somewhere along the way, if you survive and if you continue to make art, and music is my craft, and
Yeah.
shredding that lead guitar, like some of my favorite groups like UFO, Scorpions, Michael Schenker,
Oh yeah.
these old line guitar heroes. Some of these guys are in their 70s now, but they still sound amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to do? This is my life. Music is my life, and all you can do is keep making your music for the fans that love it. So we had a Whitecross album that came out in 2005. Now with our new lead singer David Roberts, who should be here any minute.
Yeah, he'll be on in a second.
Yeah, we have a new record that's coming out. Shall I give the release date?
I'm going to put it on the screen for you. How about that?
Shall I let the cat out of the bag?
Sure, let's go there.
March 22nd, 2024. This has been a fantastic year for Whitecross. We're back together. We're screaming louder than ever. By all means, this is the loudest album I've ever made. Technical level of clarity and punchiness due to the amazing production of Anthony Fox, our wonderful engineer, and the band is wailing and the songs are great, and I don't know what else I can say about it, but you'll have to wait a couple months till it's out. But you've heard some of it, so.
I have, and I'm going to say this. I think it's great that you guys put a little pre-release out there.
Yeah.
So you can hear 3 of the tracks. I know that I had a chance to listen to it multiple times.
And those are I got to tell you, those are pre-production demos. Those are nothing
right.
This product is way more bigger and more huge. We found the more huge knob and just kept dialing it up, cranking it up.
To reference Spinal Tap, I know that they always say turn it to 11.
Mm-hmm.
Rex, I'm going to be honest. A few of the tracks that you played for me, I'm going to tell you right now, I think you found 12.
Yeah.
If there's a way you did.
Yeah.
And in case, I mean, really amazing the things that you've done with not just your guitar. I mean, the overall production, the band sounds amazing. You sound 2024. Definitely sound 2024.
Right. So we're keeping the
we got a comment there.
Songwriting direction is straight down, Whitecross Boulevard, that sound that our fans know, and the sound that they love and the sound that they want. When you put on a Whitecross album, you expect to hear certain things. So we deliver all those things, and then we also I believe that we have to grow with our fans. They're growing up, we're growing up, so you have to try new things. So we tried a couple of acoustic things too, just to see what we could get out of that, and hopefully our fans will be on board for that too. But I think they will, because we kind of went into kind of a, like if you think about Led Zeppelin, right? They were like the premier heavy rock band,
right,
of their day. That in their time they would have been, like the heavy metal, which of course it's just the blues-based rock and roll. It's nothing like what we have today, right? But in their day, that was the heavy metal band. But then, they would flip it around on you, and they do this whole heavy acoustic thing.
Yep.
So, we want to explore some of that area as well. So we're doing a little bit of all of that, and not to hog the spotlight all night. I can't wait to hear some things from Asha.
Oh, we're going to bring her on in just a second. But first, hey, Rex.
I've heard some of her music, and it's pretty out there, man. It's pretty slamming stuff.
So, Rex, read this from a fan. This is from John. I love it. I wore out my Whitecross cassette as a 15-year-old in 1988. Rex, you will always be my all-time guitar hero. Godspeed. May the Lord bless this new album to reach many. Thank you, John. Look, we're going to have the lines open. If you are on, go ahead and make some comments. And, and we actually have a question. Here we go, Rex. Here's from the fans.
All right.
This is actually from someone I know you know.
Mm.
This is from Dave Mobile. He's in Florida these days. And he says, hey, Rex, how do you spread the gospel today compared to when you started, maybe in the mid to late 80s?
Well, I'd like to say boldly and with confidence, but really, Dave, as you well know, Dave is let's disclose that Dave is a mutual friend of ours, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, Dave, as you know, it really just comes down to growing up, which in my case took about 50 years. Okay. And I'm still growing up.
Yep.
Learning who I am so that I could be confident in myself. And there is a lot of pressure applied, especially like in 1984 when I like, check it out. I had a record deal on Atlantic Records straight from a demo tape, and that never happens for anybody. So they in fact, the head of the A&R department at Atlantic said, are you in a band right now? I said, no. He said, let's put together a band around you. And I'm like, you're kidding, right?
Wow.
That's what he did. And so you're dealing with that pressure to do everything right. And then the label is wanting to do things that maybe is not like in line with my personal ideas about how I want to present myself,
right,
and so forth. And as a Christian believer, you can be anything you want out there. We make Whitecross records for everybody,
right,
to enjoy. If you like rock and roll, you're going to love this album. That's all there is to it. But I'm free to be the person that I am, and that is a Christ follower. And I don't push it down anybody's throat, but it's who I am.
Right.
It's the way I present to the world. And when you grow up enough to the point where you realize that, the record deal from Atlantic that is not necessarily the be all and the end all of everything.
Right.
So it's just understanding who you are as an artist and what is it that you want to say to the world. And this is who I am, and this is the way I play guitar, and my songs are what they are. And
right.
Talk to me for 10 minutes and you'll get an idea of my personality and so on and so forth. And just being a real person.
Right.
So that's it, right? You just, you're never gonna, as when we talk about faith and spirituality and Christianity specifically, you're never gonna win a convert to Christ by just shoving the gospel down somebody's throat.
Right.
No, that's not what I'm all about. But I am, in my lyrics, I do believe that I want to lift up the name of the Lord.
Yep.
And acknowledge Him for giving me the creativity to shred a guitar a little bit. Mm-hmm. I'm no Steve Vai or anything like that, but I just do what I do, and give God the glory and let His name be known throughout the world. And there's, why is that such a terrible thing? And I've had conversations with people who say, well, rock and roll is sex, drugs, rock and roll. That's what it's supposed to be.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, well, that's fine for you. I certainly grew up listening to, Kiss and all the music, all the mainstream rock music, Peter Frampton, Humble Pie, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath. I grew up on all that stuff.
Yep.
And I love those guys. I love them as people and as a band and everything. But my music is just my interpretation of the world as I see it,
Right.
through the eyes of my Christian faith, and that's how I relate to the world. So hopefully, reasonable people can just take that for what it is and enjoy the album.
Yeah.
And if they don't, well, sorry, I can't help you. We live in a very polarized country these days, where either you agree with my political opinion or else we're going to cancel you. And on both sides of the aisle, right?
Yeah.
Left wing, right wing, either way, people are like, it's like my way or the highway. So,
Right.
So I want to steer clear of all of that. I just want to be me, enjoy music, love God, love people, love my guitar.
All right. With that, hey, you know what? You've got the new CD coming out, Fear No Evil, March 22nd.
Yeah.
But you have a new member to the band. Now, I know he's been touring with you for a while,
Right.
but again, from the recording space side, this is his debut.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if you could just tell us, because we'll bring him on in just a second, but who is the new Whitecross lead singer, David Roberts?
A wonderful friend of mine that I have known for probably 6-7 years now, since at least like 2016, I think, give or take, thereabouts.
Okay.
Michael Fian, our drummer.
Yep.
He introduced me to Dave, and the connection at first was through music, and we share a lot of the same influences musically, so it's very easy for us to write music together.
Yeah.
And people have told me, so, oh gosh, man, when I listen to Dave, I hear, I've heard everything from sounds like Sammy Hagar, sounds like David Coverdale, sounds a little bit like Ronnie James Dio. Quite a few people say, oh, he sounds like the guy from Queensryche.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. To me, he sounds like Dave, and he sounds like he's very at home in the company of these musical giants, because he is one himself. But as we've gotten to know each other, he is a very dear friend of mine, and we have a blast when we are on the road together. So I'm proud to call him my friend and my brother and my lead singer. And that's David Roberts.
Yeah, without further ado, let's bring him on. Welcome to the program, Mr. David Roberts. How are you, my friend?
Good.
So good to see you.
Dave, you gotta adjust the lighting. You gotta get
let me see what I can do here.
Yeah. Well, so that little segue there.
How's that?
Oh, that's a little better.
Yeah, it's a little better.
All right. So how you doing, guys?
We are doing fantastic.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And David, I got to start with the very first question. What does it mean to you? I had to do a little fact checking. Like, it's not that I don't believe Rex, I do. But in the world of media, I do have to fact check these comparisons. And in fact, I have heard these comparisons with you with Queensryche. I actually said that to Rex when I first heard Fear No Evil. I thought the intro was like, oh my gosh, it has that vibe. Not that you sound like him, but in the vibe, right? And then, oh my gosh, in the verses, hello, Mr. Ronnie James Dio. Dang, dude, you're slaying it.
Oh,
yeah. And then in another track, obviously I could hear the Coverdale influence. So we can definitely hear your influences. But, what's it like now, now that you've been with the band for several years now, and now you're getting ready to do your very first Whitecross release as their lead singer?
Oh, I'm definitely stoked about it. I love this band. I'm honored and, to be in this band. And everybody in this band is like my best friend. It's so cool. And we all have the same heart and love for Jesus, which is, I mean, so I've been singing in the secular world all my life. And, to be able to sing for Jesus, I mean, it's just like, the best gift ever. So I'm stoked. I'm ready to see how the people accept the new album, and I feel really good about it. Yeah.
Well, I can just say this, and I said this to Rex. If people were wondering what the next chapter of Whitecross sounds like, just go straight right away to Fear No Evil, and they will hear the new sound instantly. I think what you guys built together, the band is just so tight, but yet your vocals, you show so much diversity, even within one song. And I got to tell you, it's so impressive. Just to hear your vocals and like all of us, right? Like I went to Dio shows back in the day when I was in high school, right? And I've certainly seen Coverdale, and I've certainly, have seen some of these other folks that were referenced. And I got to tell you, I think Whitecross sound right now in some ways has just never been better. I just love your contributions, both as a songwriter as well as a vocalist, and the way you and Rex and the band jive together.
Yeah, thank you, and I agree with you. It's it's an awesome band. I'm just proud to be part of it. I love this band.
So. Yeah, I can jump in there and say that from where we were before, just to where we are now, not having, Scotty was a great singer in his time, but just where we are lined up now, personality wise, and we all get on and we all have fun together. So that has done something to the music where now we're playing together with more chemistry.
Yeah.
And again, not to disparage anything before, because I know a lot of fans have loved the band during our first 30 years.
Of course.
But hopefully we'll have another 30 years.
Yep.
To show them what we can really do now. And again, I can't wait for this album to come out so that people can hear what we're talking about.
Right.
And hopefully they'll love the record as half as much as we do.
Yeah. Hey, David, we'll start with you on this question. What is the writing process like? How do you guys come up with the songs? Is it Rex comes up with the riff, the music, and then you put lyrics? Or how did you guys approach this particular album from a writing perspective?
I would say the first thing I got to say is, Rex is definitely driving the writing machine. He's in charge of all that. However, we kicked around a lot of different ideas, and we probably demoed 2 albums worth of material and cherry picked, the songs that made it to the album.
Yeah.
And so I'll send Rex lyrics and stuff, ideas, and he puts them in a little basket and pulls them out when he feels like it'll work.
Absolutely.
There was that one lyric that you sent to me, "Wishing Well," and I read it and I knew that it was a great lyric, but there was no ideas for it. But I didn't throw it away either. I just put it in a folder. And then like 5 years go by, and then I pulled it out again one day, and it's like, oh, all of a sudden I'm able to hear. I think it goes, like this, and you start writing some music to go with it. And when Dave writes a lot of great lyric ideas, like that song that you were referencing, "Fear No Evil."
Yeah.
Once again, that was a Dave lyric, and I had been working on like a little guitar thing, and then I was looking at Dave's lyric and like, oh, this lyric actually will fit with this guitar thing. So we do a lot of things in that way. And then I would even say we had there was a couple of songs that we finished the demos. We had guitar, bass, drums, vocals. And we demoed them, and it's like, it's a good song, but it just didn't seem to be matching up. So we, like Dave said, we've got songs that are just sitting in the can that, maybe we'll work on them later, maybe probably not. We'll probably just move on to new things. But, we try a lot of things, and like you said, we had probably another 5 or 6 songs that ended up not making it to the record, just ideas that never got finished.
Yeah. So with that, David, we'll start with you because I cannot wait to hear your answer. I have no idea what you're even going to say. And this is what makes it fun. I asked this of Rex a few days ago when I got a chance to interview him briefly. And but Rex and I knew we were going to unpack this on the show tonight. So here we go. What can fans expect from the new Whitecross release, Fear No Evil, from your perspective?
What can they expect? They won't be disappointed. Would be my first thing I would say. They will not be disappointed. I know there's a lot of when Scotty and Rex wrote a lot of great music, and a lot of people love it. And and I love it too. And I can tell you, Scotty's very difficult to cover because we do some of the old stuff.
Yeah.
My hat off to Scotty. But I would say to all the Whitecross fans, you're not going to be disappointed. That would be the first thing I would. That's what they can expect, is to not be disappointed. Yeah.
Yeah, as I've said, it's we know who we are. We know where we know what our lane is. So we stay in our lane, right? So kind of another way of saying what you were saying, David.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a lane. We know who we are. We stay in our lane. So we deliver right down that alley, right down the alleyway. But then we veer off on a couple things too, because we want to keep growing. As we know that our audience is growing too. We want to grow with them.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So, Rex, I have a few fun questions for you. Number one, is this the most notes you've ever played on a record? Okay. Well, I love the fact that David's laughing because there's some truth to that.
I was getting ripped off, so I had to start charging cats by the note. I play by the note. If I do this, that's about 12 notes, so I got to charge $2.50 a note, man. No, that's a joke from an old Doonesbury comic strip. But yeah, a lot of notes.
Yeah.
That's who Rex is,
I know, man.
I think Dave gets paid $1.50 for every high note, right?
Exactly.
No, another $1.50.
Yeah, and Dave, what I'm looking forward to soon is when they get the chance to start releasing this on social media, where we put out, some stuff on obviously Instagram as well as YouTube Shorts, obviously as well as TikTok. But you hitting some of those high notes. Oh my gosh, dude, you are slaying it. And Rex, obviously, just take any solo. Come on, man. You got dive bombs. You got, pinch harmonics. Let's just face it, dude. You play more notes. And then if you count your delay on there, where sometimes it sounds like you're playing 3 at times, and then you got all your finger tap. Come on, man. I'm just saying, when I heard it, I didn't hear the whole thing, but what I did hear, I was like, there was no shortage of Rex notes at all.
No, man, that's no shortage of Rex is. Yeah, I love it.
Respect the riff.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So, all right. So what I'd like to do now is I got to take just a very, very short. I do have this podcast actually sponsored, so I want to just give a quick shout out to the sponsor, and it's always cool to do that. Obviously, I'm very proud of the fact that the show is sponsored, and it's actually sponsored by JBE Pickups. And I got a chance just 2 months ago to get a set of pickups myself, and they've got some really cool things as far as pickups go. I know, Rex, you got a chance to hear it, and believe it or not, as you know, we'll have Asha on in just a second, but if you haven't heard JBE Pickups before, I'm going to play a song right now. Actually, not a song. I'm just going to play the guitar solo that I actually am joining Asha on as a featured guitarist, as she is a JBE Pickups artist. And I'm going to go ahead and play that video now. Rex, you heard this when I was at your studio. So here you guys go. If you want to get a chance to hear JBE Pickups, here you go. This is a solo from me collaborating with Asha Blaine.
Right on, man.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, you got a good teacher.
What are you talking? I got the best in the world, literally the best in the world, man.
Rock and roll.
That's awesome, man.
Hey, come on, man. Hey, I'm trying to play a few notes there too. I learned from the best.
Great, bro.
Thank you very much. And it's just really cool to be able to, be back in the game, doing fun things like that, fun collaborations. And it's super cool. Hey, if you got any questions out there, feel free to ask them. And here's one right now from Brazil. I guess someone saw you in Rio in '93. Do you remember the Melnor show?
Well, I sure do remember that concert we did. Yeah, it was the biggest show that I've been a part of. There was about 55,000 people.
Dang.
And we came down there, and Madonna was in town. This is purely coincidental. Madonna was in town the same weekend. She played across town in the soccer stadium for about 135,000 people. But I felt great because that was a big crowd for me.
Yeah.
And the chance to headline our show there, and what a wonderful weekend. It was like a long weekend that we were down there. So we got to do all the national TV shows, and a lot of interviews, a lot of press at the time. It was great. And we were, you open up the newspaper, there we are, there's our picture,
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
That's pretty cool. I mean, that's a lot of people, Rex. We talked about that the other day. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really great.
Yeah. All right. So without further ado, some of you, certainly the Whitecross camp, may not have heard of her yet, but she is from Denver. She's been Denver based. She's been going at it full time for 6 years now. And I'm going to go ahead and start her with one of her songs that she wrote, an original called I Will Follow. And if you haven't heard of Asha Blaine, all I can say is she's actually covered people like David Coverdale hitting those high notes. Oh yeah. Hitting the high notes. She's also, I got introduced to her when she was singing some Don Dokken on a couple of Dokken songs. She's been actually in Dokken tribute bands as well as Yngwie. I know, Rex. She's even done Yngwie stuff.
New Don or old Don?
Yeah. Well, the Don from the 80s. We'll just keep it like that. All right. So without further ado, here is a release from Asha Blaine. Here's an original. Here you go.
For sake, so much sitting away. Forgotten when lost escape this desperate place we're falling away. I'll put these chains down, so follow you
All right. Well, welcome to the broadcast here, Asha Blaine. Asha, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
Nice.
We're good.
I feel very honored that you guys would invite me to this podcast. So thank you so much.
That sounded great.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Likewise, I listened to the 3 tracks today, and I'm excited to hear the final product. So
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. To the Fear No Evil album. Yeah, just to clear.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, Asha, what was a few of your, impressions as you listened to it?
Well, I immediately hear 80s. I mean, I can't help but hear that. So I did hear okay, one of the songs.
Can't imagine why.
One of the songs that I heard David, he started on this really high note, and I immediately thought of Yngwie Mom's scene with Jeff Scott Soto. I am a Viking.
Yeah.
Wow, and I was just like, yes, let's bring that back.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. I mean, I have a lot of respect for men who can just wail on those high notes, because it's much harder, I think, for a man to do that than a woman. So much respect for that. That's great.
That's a very good point that you bring out there, because I've always felt the same way. It's not often that I don't know if it's just the physical construction of the voice, the difference between men and women, but it seems like you get a lot. It's easier to find a great soprano as opposed to like a great male tenor, like a high tenor.
Right.
Is
Agree.
difficult to find at an equal level. But but much respect to what you're doing, because you're like slamming it.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. It's because I was introduced to some of these tribute bands around town that did really heavy stuff that I had never heard before. Like I had never heard of Dokken until somebody asked me, like, "Hey, you want to be in a Dokken band?" And I was like, "What's Dokken?" And then I got introduced to this world. The guitar player I was playing with was like obsessed with Whitesnake and Dokken and Yngwie Malmsteen, like just like all these crazy guitar players. And to be honest with you, I grew up not being allowed to listen to rock and roll because rock and roll's the devil, So this is like new stuff for me. And they're like saying, you should sing this stuff. So I got introduced to that music, and I loved the way I felt like performing it, like vocally performing it. And I loved the drive, and I loved the heavy guitars. So that is a lot of my vocal influence, I would say. That kind of stuck with me a little bit.
That's really cool.
I went from not knowing those guys to,
So
now
playing it.
now I research them, and now I have to research David Roberts to figure out.
Oh.
So yeah, that's fun.
So Asha, tell us the story, because you may not know the full story, but Rex can tee it up for us. Rex, you need to tee up the background for it. Then I'll ask Asha the question. But talk to us about when you did King James and you played, and you were in a band with Robert Sweet, the drummer, and Timothy Gaines, the bass player. And on paper, are you kidding me? That was like, would seem to be a mega band. Talk to us about that experience a little bit, what that was like doing King James.
Oh, yeah, that was, at the time, I had to leave Whitecross because there was a major health issue in my family, and I was not able to tour with the band when they needed me.
Okay.
And we weren't getting along anyways. So they went and did their thing, and then I got with Jimmy Bennett. We formed. He was in a group called Sacred Fire, and I was looking for that Striper-esque type of more of a pure sounding vocal with the high range, and you know it when you hear it. And so Jimmy Bennett came into the picture, and we made the group King James, which we didn't know what to call the group. And my mom said, well, Rex means king in Latin, and and you've got Jimmy Bennett, so we'll call it King James, which is just a combination of our names. And I knew I had met Robert and Tim, like the whole Striper group. I had met them like the year before. We had done a tour together in Europe, and had a lot of fun with them over there. So I just called Robert, said, "Hey man, you want to come and drum on this project?" And he said, "Yeah, and if you're interested, Timmy's available too." So we called Timmy, and it's like, there it was.
Yeah. Yeah, Rex, all I'm going to say is that record was unbelievable. I said this to you the other day when I was visiting with you, at your house in the studio, and oh my gosh, the production on that, your playing on that was just, like I said, it almost felt like you had like if this were Fast and Furious, like you just had a NOS tank off on that project.
Well, hopefully people are going to get some of that from the new Whitecross.
Oh, they are going to get that. I can tell you that right now. They're going to get some NOS.
Yeah, I mean, there's been my philosophy of being in a band and stuff. One thing I think I've always had a pretty good handle on is back in the 1970s when I was just a wee lad. And I was reading, we had the Illinois Entertainer, which is equivalent to like Bay Area music or the Nashville scene.
Mhm.
It's counterculture newspapers, and they'd have articles on all the local rock bands. And I would see these groups on the cover that looked really intimidating to me. I was like, oh, they got the hair, they got the outfits. Oh my goodness, they're going to eat my lunch. And they would hype these bands up like they're God's gift to rock and roll. And then I never hear from them. You come to find out years later, yeah, it's because there's no internet back then. You find out like, well, the lead singer's really pitchy, the guitar player sucks, the drummer can't keep time. The bass player's got a DUI. He's not allowed to leave the house, for 2 years. We find out that they just, they look great, because I guess they got wives and girlfriends who know where to shop, but that was it, and when I started in the music business in 1984 on Atlantic Records, it was completely the opposite. You take a guy like myself, not the world's most attractive man, and yet they wanted to work with me,
right,
based on the quality of the music,
right.
And then it was all about and the head of the A&R department, the artist and repertoire guy at Atlantic, spent 3 years working with me. I'm still blown away by it to this day. He spent a lot of time with me, teaching me how to play guitar, training me what riffs to play, when not to play.
Yeah.
Working with me in the studio, he made me do everything from that note right there. He's like, no, you got to play it like that so people can hear it. Just every little detail. He taught me everything, and he taught me about songwriting, and the whole thing for me ever since then is, if you have a fantastic sounding album, everything else is rises or falls. You have a band that looks great, and you hear their album, oh yeah, their album sucks. So there's nothing to build on. And this is why, I'll take like a David Roberts or an Asha Blaine. I'll take either one of them, 10 times out of 10, 7 days a week. Twice on Sunday, because you got to start with a great song. You got to have a great singer, and you've got to have a great band. And you have those things, then you can, then you're stuck with guys like myself, well, not the most visually enticing, but we can work with it,
Yeah.
If we have songs and talent and musical ability, it's the music business, and there's a fine line at times between the music business and the entertainment business,
Right.
Because we're entertainers and we're musicians, but in the long run, I started out as a musician, so I'll probably always have 1.5 feet in that camp, but we're entertainers at the way, so you need somebody like Asha to front the band, so people have something nice that they can look at. But you got to have. But see, Asha would have no staying power if she wasn't a great singer. But thankfully, she is a great singer. So, so you have to have all those things. But you have to start out with the album.
Yeah,
you got to have an album that people can listen to. Like some of the comments from earlier. I've been listening to you since I was 15 years old.
Right.
They're still listening. So you gotta come up with music that stands the test of time.
Right.
And you're only as good as your next album. Whatever you did the last time, that's gone.
Right.
This album, we're already done with it. Now, where it's coming out in March, people are going to get to hear it, but we're already, David, am I right? We're on.
We're moving on to the new material.
Yeah. We've already heard these songs like 1,000 times. So we're on to whatever's next.
Yeah.
But you've got to be, every album that you do has to be the greatest thing you've ever done in your life.
Yeah. Well, Rex, with that, I want Asha to share her backstory. She just got done in 2023 She did 110 live performances. I love telling this story. When I got introduced to her, I heard her after seeing George Lynch in person, front row. I took some video of him, posted it, and after the song was over, a video popped up recommended, and it was her. And in that particular picture, she doesn't look like she does now. She looked different. Is it fair to say you look slightly, I don't know, homely? Is that fair to say? Homeless.
Well, there's a difference.
And yet when I played it, I was just blown away. And that was my first introduction to Asha and then I later find out that, and David, you'll appreciate this. She just didn't believe in punching any of the vocals. She actually did it 100 times. And on the 101st take, that's what she put on her YouTube channel.
Cool.
Straight live all the way through. And so Asha, talk to us about kind of your journey. You've been doing this for 6 years now, but also the impact of when you opened for Stryper just about 4 months ago, and how the music is so much meaningful to you personally, and how it's driving the way you write.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack. So yeah, I moved to Denver like 7 years ago and I jumped into the cover band world like right away. My first band was like a disco band. So I did that for a couple years, and then I ended up getting into other bands that were more rock. So Dokken was one of them. I did a lot of Led Zeppelin stuff, not a lot of, but like Jeff Scott Soto from Yngwie. I can't think of all the artists. I'm thinking of The Trooper, Iron Maiden. Yeah, just a lot of those artists. Ann Wilson. So anyway, I got the privilege to cover a lot of that music, and what really drove me was more of the instrumental behind it, because I don't feel like you can really explode unless your instrumentals are exploding. So I was doing the cover band, tribute band stuff for a while, up until maybe, actually this last year, I was in another cover original band with some people that I ended up quitting recently. So throughout that time, I actually was like coming back, like I had fell away from my faith for a while. I grew up Christian and then fell away from it and did my own thing for a while, and that was definitely not working for me. Went through a lot of hard traumatic things, and I had no other choice but to kind of come to terms that God was the only thing left that could help me, and he sure did. I just have to say that that has completely changed me and changed my trajectory. So throughout the last couple years, I thought to myself, oh, God would probably appreciate it more if I like sang in churches and sang like Christian radio music. And I just could not bring myself to do it. It was just something that was like, this doesn't feel right to me. I don't like the music. I don't like the music. This is not how I want to express my faith about God. And I think that my Christian view was very like boxed in probably. And I wasn't truly knowing God, like how God made me, or I wasn't appreciating that really. So anyway, leading up to, I wrote an album with another person too, like a rock album. And I think through that process, I learned better how to songwrite and how to do my vocals and stuff. And so I wanted to create another album that was just me sitting down doing the instrumentals and working with an engineer to help create that. And that's been really hard, but I'm glad I did it, because there's a lot of freedom in it, and there's a lot of like artistry in it that I didn't realize I could maybe tap into. So okay, let me go back now to Stryper. So yeah, I was in a band that opened for Stryper. Yeah, like last, what was it, May or something like that, May 2023. And I was just like shocked. I was like, there's a heavy metal band that like throws Bibles out in the audience. Like, what is this? This is not Christian radio K-Love worship music. Like, there's a band that does this. I had no idea. And I knew that there were bands out there like Skillet or like Flyleaf that did that, and I love those bands because that's more like my generation. But I don't know, just like actually opening for them and actually seeing them in person, just something hit me, and I ended up leaving the band that I was in, and I was writing with them, and I was couldn't help myself but to write lyrics about my experience with God, and I don't think that was very well received.
Yeah.
Not at all. And I had to make a tough decision to quit that band because I was like, okay, that band could go somewhere in a direction that was more popular, Hollywood, whatever, and I don't want to do that. I think that, like exactly what Rex said at the beginning, that it's like, this is who I am, and I want to present myself to the world as this, and this actually might stifle me from being this amazing rock star, but I don't care, because that is it comes and it goes, that's fleeting. There's a new there's a new rock artist waiting around the corner. So to me, I just think that when Rex can be himself, he's got his own little niche, he's got his own fan club, he's got his own, and the people that really respect him, and they respect him not only for his playing and for his immense dedication to his craft, but for his dedication to God, to Christ.
Amen.
And that to me speaks way more volumes than writing an album about things that like who is it affecting? Who is that inspiring? Who is that helping? So I just think that when you have a Christian and a rock and roller, your story is much more compelling. So I dropped that band and started doing my own thing, because I know how much God has completely changed my life. Nobody else has changed my life except God, and he has shown me that I can do things and I don't need to depend so much on other people. And that's been really great to see myself like blossom in that way. I feel very grateful. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, yeah. And actually, let's set this up really quick, because I want to build on this momentum, about you writing. I know what's coming up for you in 2024. You got a new EP coming out. It's called Runaway. And you've already begun, you've done the video for it and you've teased it. We want to tease it now, but give some people the background behind it, because it's not your regular straight of the run of the mill video whatsoever. You were heavily involved in the creative process, but it came down to exactly what you said, is that you're just really singing about how you had to run away to God. And the imagery on this, I'll be honest with you, it's captivating.
So, this is the first time I'm actually speaking about this. And I think there was a question that Rex was asked about, like, how do you spread the gospel then as opposed to now or whatever?
Yeah.
And I think that I can relate to you, Rex, when you say like it's kind of like it's a process and you don't want to shove it down people's throats, but you also you are who you are, and maybe you can inspire people, because you can't ignore that God has changed you, saved you, whatever. So for me, when I came back to my faith, I was really convicted that I needed to drop a lot of things in my life that were throwing me off, that were kind of making me spiral out of control, that were making me addicted to things. And as a believer, that's what you're supposed to do, is you're supposed to lay down your cross, or bear your cross. You lay down the stuff that you once idolized, and you follow Christ. And that's a daily thing. That's a daily pickup. You're not perfect, but you try. And so this song is about running away from the devil, your addictions. And it's also telling the devil to run away from me. Like, get off of me, step the hell off of me. Because I have God, I have Almighty God, and you can't really touch me. So it's kind of a two-way runaway thing. So yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and play. This is called Runaway by Asha Blaine.
The thirst and the hunger are no longer mine. I'm satisfied. Do you see my soul was captive with lies? So deprived. I never know I was locked up with these segments inside, revealing my immorality, filling the void with a lie still from
Oh, well,
Nice.
well
Uh,
done. Well done.
Heavy.
I love doing video. I mean, another videographer here in Denver, his name's Kyle Lamar. He does a freaking fantastic job of just creating imagery and a story. Like, he could be a movie videographer too. He's just great. But he really helped me captivate that kind of like demon thing. Like, there's demons, they're trying to hunt me down, you know, but there's just a power that's higher, and I end up, basically the story is I keep coming back to the same problem, and it keeps, like, the first time it crushes me, and then I kind of have to get up. I like wake up, you see me waking up at the end of that, and I like learn, and then throughout the video I learn how to come back and like defeat that and keep
Wow.
coming back and kind of going up these levels of maybe defeating rather than levels of being crushed or overtaken. So that's I've lived a life where I feel like I've had oppression, I've had abuse, and I really want to speak to an audience where if you've had that trauma, if you've had that abuse, you know, you don't have to live a life in a continual state of like spiraling out, you know. And so much of that had to do with me, so much of that change and my life going more in an upward direction had to do with me humbling myself to God and saying, like, look, I need help because my life sucks. So this is the trajectory, and I feel really good about it. So yeah.
And talk to us about when's all that going to be released.
So I don't know the release date for the video yet. I am
Okay.
patiently waiting. But the video is in editing mode, so I'm feeling like within the next couple weeks the video will be released, and then the EP is, I mean, it's already streaming, but the actual physical copies, they're on the way. So
And then talk to us about your new merch, because they can find that here certainly at your website. But talk to us about the merch, because you got some pretty interesting items for people.
yeah, so I did start a brand new merch line, and that's kind of interesting to promote yourself, but I think that people want it, people ask for it. So I've got sweatshirts, well, like hoodies, I've got beanies and t-shirts to represent this new EP and represent the new music video. I do have a show coming up also May 2nd that's going to be releasing all this stuff too. Here in Denver. And then I also created a little notebook because all of my processing and my crying out to God and my admittance, my repentance came through writing all this in journaling. You know, I'm not, you know, my worship is in journaling a lot. So, and that's where a lot of my song lyrics come from and stuff. And so many lonely crying nights of journaling. And so I was like, you know, maybe I should make a journal, because I just do think that it's like therapeutic, you know, to just write down, like, what is the stuff that you're going through? You know, how do we fix it? How do I pray to God? And then also the journal is also meant to document, like, how's God answered your prayer in this way?
Mm-hmm.
Because that, I go back to my journals and I'm like, God totally answered this prayer in a strange way, but nonetheless, it was answered. So just a good tool. I really want to advocate for people who have not had great cards handed to them, because I don't think that that means that the rest of your life has to be crap because you went through crap before. So
Amen. Amen to that.
Yeah, amen, definitely. And Asha, where can people go other than your website to really check you out and check out some of these new releases that you've been coming out with?
yeah, I'm most active like on YouTube.
Yep.
I do believe that social media is going to kick up in the next couple of years, and I think that artists like you guys will just have a, I don't know why, I just feel this in my gut, but that especially Christian artists of all kinds of artists will have a really great time on social media reaching people and being able to continue having their art be appreciated. So YouTube is one of them. Instagram, I'm on all the streaming platforms. TikTok. I just I just started a TikTok. Dang it, I don't like it, but I did it. And that's pretty much mostly YouTube. I would say like hop over to my YouTube channel, give it a like and subscribe, and you can see my goal this year is to actually put up more original music, and I would love it is my goal to start a podcast to talk about these kind of things and like why, you know, even as an artist, I think that people can get, they think they have to go through these avenues to become something or become someone. Like, I need to go to Nashville, I need to go to Hollywood, and these things I feel like just kind of suck you dry anyway. And I really appreciate, you know, you guys, because you're, like you said, you're staying true to who you are. That can't diminish the production quality. That can't diminish how amazing your album is just because you weren't, you know, produced in Hollywood or whatever. Like, you're still amazing regardless. So I would like to see more artists be themselves without having to go through the factory of, I don't know, even know how to say that, like, of being made into something. You know what I'm saying? Like The Voice.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you know, the flip side of that, those on our album, you know, again, when people hear it, I'm sorry I didn't have any music videos from the album. That's probably our next project for this year is to get videos for some of the songs. But we did get like one of the best rock and roll producers in the whole world to work on our albums. A guy in Nashville named Anthony Fox.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, crushed it, killed it. Honestly, yeah, all the way
out of it. Like I said, there's a little loud clarity, like nobody's business. Bottom end for days, you know, just really huge sounding out, very loud.
And Rex, with that, let me just plug that right now. So if you guys want and you want to get more information and pre-order actually the new CD, there it is, whitecrossband.com. You can go there. And for Rex's benefit, I did this for you too. And here it is. That's the actual page itself. And it's their landing page that you can go on and go ahead and click it to get the orders. They have other certainly merchandise there. They have a QR code there as well. But yeah, I mean, it's really cool, Rex. I was just blessed to hear the record. I was blessed to hear about half of it and literally blown away to what you said. Yes, it's got some of the sounds, the classic sounds down that lane, but my gosh, some of the newer stuff that obviously I'm assuming that Dave brought some of that influence over between you and the band. It shows, and it's really freaking rocking and awesome. Yeah. And I love it. I do. I love it. And I'm so proud of what you guys have done, and I can't wait for the world to hear it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, we're about time to kind of wrap things up, and I'd like to do a segment called The Final Word, and we'll go ahead, Dave. We'll start with you. Kind of, what's your final word that you want to share with Whitecross Nation, or actually not Whitecross, literally? I mean, you guys are world known. You know, the globe, if you would. What do you want to say to all those, you know, thousands and thousands of fans out there as they get ready to hear the new record?
Oh, well, just get ready. I suppose the main thing I would want to say is always follow the light, follow love, you know, and kick back and turn it up to 11.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Rex, I got to meet him now. I got to meet him in person.
Yeah. Like I said, he's a pretty cool guy.
I would say so. Turn it to 11. You kidding me? You caught my attention. There you go. Yeah, and David, like I said, everything I said, man. Oh my gosh, the vocals are so tasty.
I appreciate
Just a lot of you really brought a lot more depth to this record than I think really Whitecross fans will come to hear. If they want to know what's new, they're definitely going to hear it. I mean, right off the bat, it's so cool. And Asha, how about you? What's kind of, what do you want to say to those, that are tuning in this evening?
I guess my biggest encouragement to people would be like, find the thing that you're passionate about and just fully immerse yourself in it and pray to God to guide you and see what happens.
right on.
Yeah, and Rex, we're gonna have to put you to work because your friend out of Brazil, he's got a request, and I think you can handle this considering you have a guitar in your hand. So do you think you can play a little Nagasaki for us? What do you think?
No, we don't do any of that. No, just kidding. How's that? Something like that.
That works. I know, right? Yeah,
Bravo.
that's rock. I love it. So Rex, honestly, you know what? You've got an amazing storied career. Yeah, again, here you go. John's chiming in. Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. I got to tell you, it was a blast interviewing him right there at your studio, seeing you just do it live in front of my cameras. It was such a treat, like the old days. So Rex, what would you like to say to kind of wrap up this podcast? Because there's been a lot of really cool things shared. And
I would like to just echo what everybody else has said. And, God is the author of creativity. In the beginning, God created
Yes.
heavens and the earth. In the beginning, God created. Wow. And when we are created, we are made in his image. So, when we use our creative gifts, use them all the way, bring out everything that you've got, make it the best that it can be, and give God the glory for it. And amen. That's it.
Amen.
Amen. Well, we want to thank you guys for tuning in. And again, just, a couple dates, March 22nd, the release of obviously Fear No Evil. And another thing is Asha's got some things coming out. Check out her at ashablaine.com. Also check out her YouTube and her Instagram, as well as her now TikTok, as that's blowing up really well and nicely. And also, I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to let Rex and both David know I'm looking forward to helping you guys behind the scenes with really helping you promote this new album. Yeah, man, I'm so freaking pumped, man. It's going to be so much fun, and it's going to be really cool. So I just want to thank all of you for being able to take the time, obviously, tonight to certainly kick off the new year with letting everyone know about a whole lot of really cool, exciting releases right here just in the first quarter. So just, lock it in. And again, just stay tuned to everyone's channels here, because you never know what's going to come out next. And I just know it's going to be a great 2024. And I want to thank you guys all for being here tonight on the Zag Talk Podcast Live.
As they used to say on Chicago radio, tune it in, lock it on, rip the knob off.
I do remember that because I was still living back in Chicago at that time. So, All right. So for the amazing Rex Carroll, obviously David Roberts, and certainly Denver rocker Asha Blaine, my name is Guy Danhoff. We want to thank you for tuning in right here on the Zag Talk Podcast Live. Have a great night and God bless.